Scottie Pippen started last week, and I remember Ashley, you said something on Instagram. I think
Sure did.
you were referring to Kevin Durant, I believe,
Yep, I was.
because Scottie Pippen made a comment about Kevin Durant, comparing him to LeBron James, saying that he wasn't essentially downplaying his greatness, saying LeBron James wouldn't have done that. He was talking about him.
He
When,
said he's something along the lines. He's not a LeBron James
right.
because LeBron James would have gotten his team more involved instead of
Thank
trying to
you.
carry the entire load himself.
Which
And Kevin Durant tried to carry the entire load himself, and he lost.
I would.
He said LeBron James would have won.
All right. I would first of all like to debate what Scottie Pippen said there. LeBron James has definitely put his team on his back many a time. As
Yeah.
much as I talk about him, I'll admit when he's done the right thing and when
Yes.
I
Put him on the
mean
back and won.
right,
Yes.
2007 against Detroit,
Yep.
against Boston a few times. Yeah, there's no question LeBron has had to put a team on his back.
51, 8-8 against Boston. Just want to throw it out there. But
See,
yeah, keep
stat
going.
line right there. Bam. So he said that, and Kevin Durant, being Kevin Durant that he is, Mr. Burner account, Mr. Also not in the playoffs. While this was said about him, if you thought he wasn't going to respond to this, you were out of your mind and you need a drug test.
Yes, you do.
Oh, I'm sorry. Here's the actual quote. KD, as great as his defense was, it turned out to. I'm sorry, his offense was. Turned out to be his worst enemy because he didn't know how to play team basketball. He kept trying to go punch for punch. Have you ever seen LeBron take a shot like that? Obviously, I'm sure you're talking about the shot against Milwaukee at the end where he airballed. He ain't gonna take that shot. He's gonna be smart. He's gonna force a double. That's what KD wasn't able to do. KD can score better than LeBron, but has he surpassed LeBron? No. He tried to beat Milwaukee instead of utilizing his team. You see what I'm saying? And then he also went on to say LeBron would have figured out how to beat them and wouldn't have been exhausted and may not have taken the last shot. LeBron ain't KD and KD ain't LeBron. Again, a few other things I'm going to debate. LeBron would have figured out how to beat him and wouldn't have been exhausted. I'll be the first to admit. There's games where I feel like LeBron was exhausted as hell. And when he got done with his media responsibilities after that game, he probably did. He probably went home and took him a nice nap. That's what he did. Or if it was late enough, went to sleep. That's what he did. Because some of those games, there's no way, as good as LeBron is, as in shape as he is, as much he spends on his body, those games early in his career, there's no way he wasn't tired as hell after those games. He was exhausted. He had to put the team on his back.
Yes, I agree that LeBron, was probably tired as hell after the game. But what I'm thinking Scottie Pippen is saying, Kevin Durant looked tired at the end of that game.
Okay,
They lost.
That's not
He
his fault.
looked
Yeah,
exhausted.
okay, and we
What he
mentioned
trying to say is LeBron James. We ain't.
you might not see.
I
That means
don't
he puts on
remember
a brave
LeBron James
face.
ever looking that
He
level of
put on a
exhausted.
brave face.
But
then.
that's what he's saying, though.
But okay,
He's saying Kevin Durant. He ain't built like him. He couldn't even put on the face that he wasn't exhausted and get it for his team. That's what he's saying. I understand that Kevin Durant should have been exhausted. I understand he played the whole game. I get that. But I think I'm just trying to say what I think Scottie Pippen is saying.
And maybe that's what he's saying. Either way, that's not fair to KD because he was playing 53 minutes at that point. He played 48 minutes 2 games before. You're going to look tired. That's kind of how that goes.
I agree for sure.
That's how that goes.
Yeah, and then KD had an excellent game. So.
Didn't the great Scottie Pippen, KD's quote, didn't the great Scottie Pippen refuse to go in the game for his last second shot because he was in his feelings? His coach drew up the play for a better shooter.
Yep.
And we're going to get
true.
to that exact moment in a couple minutes. So that definitely happened. Kevin Durant also said, this guy Scott also wanted to enjoy his summer, so he chose to rehab during the season. Scottie Pippen, they followed Phil, not you. You screenshotted that and put it on Instagram and were like, here he go again. I'm assuming referring to Kevin Durant. And I responded.
Yes, clapping back, yes.
I responded, you say what you want to. He was 100% correct. Look, Scottie Pippen has also had his time where he didn't look the best. We all watched The Last Dance last year. We saw exactly what he was talking about. Look, I'm just saying. Granted, we can say LeBron might not have had a play drawn up for somebody better. Michael Jordan probably hadn't, and neither has Kobe. Okay? But even if they had, they would have still been on the court supporting their team.
LeBron James.
People talk about Kobe for not being a team player all the time. He still would have been on the floor.
Well, listen, LeBron James got criticized.
Yes.
For not taking the final shot and passing it to a wide open teammate.
I criticized
LeBron. Wide open.
I've criticized LeBron plenty of times for Kyrie taking the shot in 2016 and not him. But he was still on the floor. He was still on the court for it. You would never be able to say that about the greatest. The greatest. You would never be able to say they weren't at least on the floor. Scotty said, "You know what, Coach? I'm good. Put somebody else out there."
Hold on. Let's
Obviously,
not try to compare Scottie Pippen, though, to the greatest players of all time. Mm-hmm. He clearly is not up there. He knows he's not up there. He's saying, for the people saying that KD is up there,
yes,
LeBron is, so let me compare them two. We can't compare.
But that's not, but
we can't compare Scottie. But yes, I understand the criticism. I feel like a role player would have been on the
yes.
team. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if Chris Middleton was on the team, and Coach Budenholzer drew up a play for Giannis to take the final shot as a jump shot. Mm-hmm. Chris Middleton would disagree with it 100%, as in everybody else in the arena, because Chris Middleton is your shooter.
Yes.
But he still would have been on the court.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Even though he knew his coach was making a terrible decision, he would have been on the court. Scotty, like, come on. Like, that right there, you was wilding for that. And you did rehab throughout the season. Yes, you did. He was wilding. I agree.
I mean, it was a power move, but he still did it. So then that happens, and then he goes on the Dan Patrick show. Scottie Pippen does, and this quote is pulled out from his interview with Dan Patrick, talking about the Tony Kukoc getting the shot instead of Scottie Pippen. He says, "I don't think it's a mystery. You need to read between the fine lines. It was my first year playing without Michael Jordan. Why wouldn't I be taking the last shot? I've been through all the ups and downs, the battles with the Pistons, and now you're going to insult me and tell me to take it out. I thought it was a pretty low blow. I felt like it was an opportunity to give Kukoc a rise. It was a racial move to give him a rise. After all I've been through with this organization, now you're going to tell me to take the ball out and throw it to Tony Kukoc. You're insulting me. That's how I felt." Dan Patrick, I'm assuming, I haven't seen the video, but I've heard the clips. It's probably like, that's the one to make you shake your head like, whoa, hold on, what'd you just say? Uh-huh. He said, Dan Patrick said, by saying it was a racial move, then you're calling Phil Jackson a racist. Scotty says, I don't have a problem with that. Dan asks, do you think Phil was a racist? And Pippen says, oh yeah. To which I would say, and then he also, I know Scottie Pippen also said, here it is, do you remember Phil Jackson left the Lakers and then wrote a book on Kobe Bryant? Came back and coached him. I mean, who would do that? You name someone in professional sports that would do that. I think you try to expose Kobe in a way he shouldn't have. You're the head coach. You're the guy who sits in the locker room and tells the players that this is a circle and everything within the circle, and that's what the team is about. But you as a head coach open it up, and now you're going out to try to belittle, at that time, one of the greatest players in the game. Again, yeah, Phil wrote the book. He might have said what he said. But I think it's really tough to consider Phil Jackson a racist because he left Tony Kukoc in. Well, he drew up the play for Tony Kukoc. Again, a better shooter. Speaking of this, there was a play. Steve Kerr even talked about it. It was Curry inbounded it to Michael Jordan. Jordan brought up the court, and what did he do? He passed it to Steve Kerr because Steve Kerr had a better shot, and Steve Kerr's a better shooter. Just because there was a better shooter on the floor and he got the nod from the coach to take the shot does not make him a racist. I don't get where this is coming from.
The racist claims are pretty baseless. Yeah. I saw that. I was like, I mean, unless it was some, I don't know, just the way in which he's coming for this man.
Yeah.
I would have to have some receipts to be coming at somebody like that. Like, unless you got some receipts, fam, let's not call people racist. And shout out to Dan Patrick. It's really basic journalism, but there are some journalists out there who wouldn't ask the questions. Yeah. I would have kept going with it too. So, are you calling Phil Jackson a racist? Is that what you're saying right now?
That's what you
I want to make sure it's cut and dry. Yeah. This man said yes.
Because when they pulled the quotes, I needed to be made clear who said what and because you're not finna say, because what they're gonna see is on Dan Patrick's show, and what you're not gonna do is say Dan Patrick said it. I want to be clear. Scottie Pippen, are you saying this? Yes, I am. Okay, cool. Let's move on.
Yeah, you don't just move over that. You make sure you put that on the table. Right. And Scottie Pippen, how old is he? He could,
Now, granted, my immediate thought is he trying to sell something? Which he is. Because he has a book coming out, and I know he has a liquor. He's 55, by the way. And he has been dealing with a lot lately. He lost his son in April. But still.
He lost his wife before that.
Right. Well, I'm not going to get on his wife because that's...
But that's a big thing.
No, because the jokes that get thrown around about his wife. I'm not gonna touch on that. We'll talk about this, but yes, that did happen as well.
He lost his son. He lost his wife. The man. I mean, he probably just angry. You know what I'm saying? And he lashing out.
But calling Phil Jackson racist, it's not necessarily the way to go about it. Again, this is somebody who, again, don't get me wrong. We all saw The Last Dance. Scotty definitely wasn't painted in the best light in the documentary. I think we can all agree on that. But a lot of that was truth. Again, he did sit out on that play because he didn't get the last shot and he was in his feelings. Man's enjoyed his summer and rehab during the offseason, missing a bunch of games. I can give you a list of people who would not do that. I'm just saying.
Scottie Pippen, I mean, I thought the shot at Kevin Durant was it. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, you just out here starting stuff with everybody. Yeah, I'm sorry. You can't just be out here calling people racist.
Yeah.
No. Like, just because you resent them for something or a play he called. And I'm sorry.
And then let's be clear. This was 30 years ago. Like, you're bringing this up now?
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to bring that up, you'd have brought this up a long time ago, brother.
Yeah, you can't. You can't. Like, I can't. Remember when Phil Jackson called LeBron James's crew his posse? You remember that?
Oh yeah, and that didn't really fly over too well too. But outside of that,
that was all. That was pretty awful.
That was pretty bad. That was pretty bad. But outside of that, he really hadn't done anything where
people start bringing up the definition of posse and stuff. Yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, that wasn't good for him.
That wasn't good for him.
But he does. I cannot remember a time where he's been proven to be a racist.
Yeah.
I can't.
Thought of in that matter. Outside of
the posse thought of to be a racist. I've never heard somebody say
nobody. He's really hadn't done anything to where you would be like.
Yes, the posse comment was problematic, but he definitely wasn't like, oh, he's a racist. Yeah. So yeah, Scottie Pippen, bro, you need. I don't know. Maybe he needs to go to a therapist or something. I don't know why black people have such a bad stigma against therapy, but maybe he needs to go to therapy. Like, where did he get or does he really think he's a racist? I'm like. That's the one thing about me. Does he really think he's a racist, or is he trying to
make headlines?
Right. So, that's something to dive deeper into. Does he really think he's a racist? You know?